Hello everyone, Gamertag here, and for what seems like the first time in a while, we've got another video. Today we're going to be going through Pokemon Emerald with just unavoidable moves. Now I know for some of you, you might be thinking, well, what? Unavoidable moves? That doesn't really give you a lot of options, and that's true. And I'll get to that a little bit later. Now, unfortunately, this video took a little bit longer for me to actually get out than I wanted to, and part of it is just because even though the playtime wasn't anything insane, amidst everything else that I had to actually record and all of that, it took me about 25 hours to actually do everything. But the other problem is, it just seems so much longer than that. 25 hours of playtime isn't anything crazy, and really it's something that you could probably do in maybe 4 or 5 days. Well, it took me a lot longer than that. Amidst also trying to do other things like take some downtime, and that's okay. But we're going to be starting with Trapinch because it gets one of those moves at a pretty early level. And we got a modest nature. And we named it Garchomp because Flygon is also Dragon and Ground, and I thought it would be hilarious. But hey, mostly, I also didn't want to start with Spinda since we've already started with Spinda. That just kind of seems like I'm repeating a process, and that's not always fun. And Trapinch is slow, so it's going to make it a bit more challenging, and it evolves late, so that's interesting as well. So these are the moves we get to use. Now, I know it's not really going to show up on screen for too long, but we have a lot to get to into this video, and you'll get to see me use most of those moves as it is, but the one I think that's the most interesting is Thunder. Now I know Thunder normally only has 70 accuracy, but in this case, we'll be able to eventually get Rain Dance, which will allow it to always hit so long as the rain is active. It's kinda great. Especially considering how often the AI in this game likes to use moves like Sand Attack and Double Team, we're going to be able to make those obsolete with every single move that we use. Now, moves like Vital Throw are a bit upsetting because it gives us decreased priority, but I think we'll be okay. But we're going to jump right ahead to Roxanne. Now, I did have to level up once past level 17, but I think we'll be okay. So we just keep going for Feint Attack right away. And amazingly, she's already used a potion. To make it even better, on her second Geodude, she uses a second potion, meaning that once Nosepass comes out, she's not going to use any potion since she's already used the 2 that she has. Amazingly enough, she hardly uses Rock Tomb because Trapinch base speed is a whopping 10. Add in our terrible speed IV and this thing is just not good. We end up winning though on our first try at level 18, getting us to level 19, and now we can get another Pokemon for our team. Because it's early game and it's good, but before we can do that, we have to fight Maay in Rustboro, and again, why does she have a Torkoal? You can't get a Torkoal this early in the game, and she never has one at any point. I'll never understand for the life of me why they gave her a Torkoal, but they did. But we ended up winning with just 6 health left, and we can now get our Makuhita, which we named Fat Amy, but for the sake of this video, we are going to be addressing it as Patricia only. For those of you that have not seen Pitch Perfect, watch it, that's where the reference is from. It's also a good film. We get a Careful Nature and Thick Fat. Thick Fat isn't as useful as Guts, but being able to take less damage from fire and ice moves could help Flannery and also the Ice Elite Four. We also got an Electrike. Now we can't use the Electrike until we get Shockwave, but I figured naming it after a legendary might scare the NPCs a little bit. I doubt it, but hey, I couldn't resist. We're going to move on to the Maay fight before Mauville City because we are not ready for Brawly yet. Trapinch is resisted and Makuhita just doesn't hit hard enough. So Patricia takes out Lombre, and then Marshtomp comes out and goes for Bide. With that, we decide to sack off Raikou so Maay can have the luxury of saying she defeated a legendary, but also not really. We can then send in Patricia, sacrifice it as Vital Throw doesn't take out Marshtomp, Then send in Garchomp and use Feint Attack to take out Marshtomp, and then take out Slugma, getting us the win. Moving on to Watson, we're going to be starting it off with our Trapinch just because he can't use any electric moves on it. Now Voltorb can be annoying because sometimes it will go for Self-Destruct, but that's not what he does here, and we're able to use Garchomp and get through Electrike as well, and force him to use a Super Potion, which is great. Next down is Magneton though, and we can't really do anything, so we're going to end up just switching into Patricia here. Vital Throw is going to do really good damage as we take a couple Sonic Booms, and we take it out pretty easily. Manectric paralyzes us as we eat our Cherry Berry. He recovers with a Citrus Berry. We end up getting paralyzed off of his static, making us paralyzed again, but we end up taking him out and getting the win anyway, now giving use to our not legendary Raikou. And we can now go fight Brawly. Now I could have fought Brawly beforehand, but I wanted Raikou to be able to participate as well. Naturally, Brawly is terrified of our not legendary because Metatite comes out and just keeps spamming Focus Punch. But because legendaries are a terrifying being, he gets too afraid and doesn't even land any hits. That's also why Focus Punch is terrible, because we also just kept attacking. We end up just switching to Patricia, one-shotting Makuhita, and getting the win. Also, if you're wondering why we actually went first for Vital Throw, it's because it's delayed priority, but because our speed is higher, we went first. We can now get another Pokemon, being Skarmory, which is totally a Generation 3 Pokemon. For context, there were a lot of people I saw that hadn't found it until Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, so they thought it was Gen 3, but it's actually Gen 2. I wanted to use Swallow since it's my favorite regional bird, but I wanted a Pokemon that could actually do damage, so we're using Skarmory for Swift. Moving on to Maxie, his Mightyena goes down easily, no surprise. Zubat comes out as we switch into Raikou and one-shot him with a Shockwave. Last out is Camerupt. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought we KO'd Mightyena. Never mind, I'm getting ahead of myself. We switch back to Patricia. He goes for Bite. We start going for Vital Throws as he starts flinching us with bites. Now he's hardly doing anything since we resist, but eventually we're able to take him out with Vital Throw. Last out is Camerupt as we go for Focus Energy, which allows us to crit Vital Throw, getting us the win. Now moves like Focus Energy, Bulk Up, and Calm Mind we can use because they don't check accuracy, and it at least adds a little bit of variety to our movesets. So we're going to lead it off with Garchomp as we work through Flannery's Null. Slugma comes out and takes us out with Overheat, but that's fine. Garchomp did the job. We switch to Raikou, go for Shockwave. Her Overheat doesn't do much. She Hyper Potions as we take her out with 2 Shockwaves. Next out is Camerupt as we switch to Skarmory just to sacrifice it for the Overheat damage. It's not going to do anything here, but at least we can make her Overheat do less damage as now she goes for Sunny Day. We just keep spamming Vital Throws as she'll be a 2-shot, but then goes for Tackle, doing next to nothing. We're not going to learn Knockoff since it's not part of the challenge. Torkoal is out last as she goes for Overheat, doing half damage. Then the White Herb restores her health as we crit Vital Throw. She then goes for Body Slam instead of finishing us off with an Overheat, but then she's able to get a couple more and finish us off with a couple Body Slams. We can just send in Raikou, crit the Shockwave for the win, and getting us a very lucky and potential fluke victory. Now we can go take care of dear old dad in the Petalburg gym as we lead off with our Gen 3 Pokemon. We just keep spamming Swift as Spinda doesn't really do anything. All it really does is just annoy with Teeter Dance, but that's okay. You can see just how little damage it's taking because Steel has so many resistances. Now if this was Generation 6, Dark and Ghost moves would be neutral as they are now neutral so that Steel doesn't have so many resistances, but in this case he just has Psybeam. Now I decided to stay out just so that we could do some more damage to Vigoroth before going down. We can now send in Raikou, finish him off with a Shockwave, and that's half his team down. Next out is Linoon, who I was hoping would go for a Belly Drum since we outspeed, but he just goes for a couple headbutts, uses a hyper potion, but we survive Slash and we take him out. Last out is his slacking as we shockwave and then go down to feint attack, then switch to Patricia, go for focus energy when he's loafing around thanks to Truant, and then crit vital throw for the takedown and the win. With that out of the way, we are close to getting ourselves our next Pokemon, as that is Tropius. Now, Adamant Nature is unfortunate since we can only use Magical Leaf, but it's not the worst thing we could have gotten. I mean, technically it is, I guess, but we could have gotten a Quiet Nature. I guess that would technically be worse. No, sorry, I mean Brave Nature would have been worse, but hey. We can't use it until we get Magical Leaf, but that's okay. Chlorophyll might come in handy, we'll see what happens. Another Maay fight, as she just is, well, just as terrible as she's been for most of this challenge. She does have a amazingly smart play, switching into Marshtomp as we're going for Shockwave, so we switch to Patricia and just spam Vital Throw to take her out with just a couple usage, as she just wastes time with Mudsport, which is completely useless. Slugma comes out and goes for Amnesia as we crit Vital Throw for the one-shot. Last out is her Lombre as we get flinched with Fake Out, but then take her out with a Vital Throw, getting us a very unsurprisingly easy victory. With that out of the way, we can fight the Flying Gym in hopes of getting another move that we can use in Aerial Ace. We lead our Gen 3 Mon as she just goes for Paris Song. We get her to use a Hyper Potion, and then we decide to switch. Now, I could have left Skarmory in, but she's not going to be staying in from Paris Song anyway as she switched to Tropius. We go for Feint Attack, and then we switch into Raikou hoping to get some damage, but then she goes for Solar Beam, leading us to switch yet again to Skarmory to eat it. We 4 times resist Grass, that's not going to do anything. She has the Sun going, so she now outspeeds us thanks to her Chlorophyll ability, but she's not really doing any damage to us as we just keep chipping away with Swift, eventually taking down her Tropius. Next out is Pelipper, and now we decide to switch to Raikou. We can scare her with a Legendary, and one-shot her with Shockwave, which is obviously going to work as she's 4 times weak. That is most of her team down as Altaria comes out. We go for Shockwave as she goes for Dragon Dance. Now, I really thought she'd just go for Earthquake right away, but she doesn't as we switch to our Gen 3 Mon again. We just keep spamming Swift as she just keeps going for Dragon Dance, recovers with a measly Oranberry, which does next to nothing, and then we just keep attacking as we eventually go down. Thanks to her low health, we can disrespect KO her with Tropius, but first Garchomp's gonna get one shot because I thought we might live. Amazingly though, Bananas lives her Aerial Ace, as we do take her out with a Disrespect Magical Leaf that was 4 times resisted. Her Swablu comes in, takes us out as we can just send in Raikou and take her out with Shockwave. Last is her Skarmory as we Shockwave. She wastes a turn with Sand Attack since our moves can't miss, and then we can just use 2 Shockwaves to take her out, not only get the win, but also finally have another move as we use our newfound Aerial Ace TM to teach it to our Gen 3 bird, giving us another move that we can use. With Winona defeated and another unavoidable move in our grasp, we can go to Mount Pyre and catch ourselves another Pokemon that we can use, being Duskull, for a Dusclops that will know Shadow Punch. We name it One Punch Mon, after that anime. I know it's, I guess, technically supposed to be male, but I thought naming it this would be great considering we can only use Shadow Punch. Unfortunately, we won't get it until we actually get it to 37 and it evolves, but we can at least train it against whatever we want just to make it a little bit faster. After catching that though, we are going to be showing why Team Magma and Team Aqua are probably the 2 worst team members. Not only does Archie grab the wrong orb, but that means Maxie also has the wrong orb, and they both clearly don't know what they're doing. We also get the emblem to go and beat the tar out of Maxie. And speaking of, here Maxie is using the wrong orb. Buddy, Groudon is red, okay? Not blue. Not even its shiny is blue. And I know you didn't find no shiny Groudon. That is 1 in 8192 chance. No way. So Mighty Anna drops our attack a stage with Intimidate, but we take him out anyway. Crobat comes out as we decide to switch to Skarmory. Now I thought about switching to Raikou, and maybe I should, but I wanted to see how Skarmory would do as he's just going for some bites. We just keep chipping away with Aerial Ace as he uses the amazing Super Potion. Yes, Super Potion, not a Hyper Potion. Another reason why Maxie and Archie are terrible, terrible evil villains. They can't even use a good item. Seriously. Anyway, we don't quite get through Crobat with our Gen 3 Mon, as we just send in Garchomp to get confused, but get through it and take him out with Feint Attack. Camerupt comes out as we hit ourselves in confusion. He just goes for Amnesia, totally forgetting what he's doing for a couple turns, and then we just go for Feint Attack as again he forgets how to attack. He then finally remembers as he takes us out with a takedown, as we can switch to Patricia, live the Earthquake, hit a Vital Throw, go down to takedown, then send in our newly acquired One Punch Mon and take him out with just one Shadow Punch, getting us the win against Maxie. Nice. Last fight against Maay, and I know it's optional, but we're going to do it for training. So she leads Tropius, which can't do anything, so she tries to make us fall in love with her scent of failure, but we take her out with Aerial Ace. Slugma comes out as we switch into Garchomp. She just goes for Amnesia as we just keep spamming Feint Attack. She ends up hitting Ember, critting, burning us so we take some damage in between turns, but thanks to her inability to do anything else, we end up still taking her out with a slim 13 health left. Ludicolo comes out as we Feint Attack and then go down to an Astonish. Now we can just send in Patricia and hit a couple Vital Throws to take out her Ludicolo for a pretty easy takedown. Last is her Marshtomp, as we can switch to Bananas, use our newly found Magical Leaf, and take her out with a single hit, getting us an easy win against Maay. Alright, let's see how the ever-brutal Psychic Gym goes. So right out of the gate, they use Sunny Day to allow Bananas to have doubled speed thanks to Chlorophyll, as we take out Claydol with just a few hits. Next out is Lunatone, as we decide to Shadow Punch on Lunatone, sorry. And we also don't do anything with the next turn. We go for Shadow Punch again, this time trying to get Lunatone out of the picture as Xatu uses up a Hyper Potion. They have 4 of these, by the way, which is more than any other gym leader, and I just think that's crazy. So Lunatone gets taken out as we keep spamming Magical Leaf on Solrock as One Punch Mon goes down and we send in Raikou. Unfortunately, it's right into a burn as we just keep doing damage. Raikou goes down to a Psychic as we send in our Garchomp. As we hope to take out the rest of their team, all we need to do is take out Xatu, which we do with a Feint Attack, allowing Garchomp to get a kill, which it doesn't get very many. Bananas goes down as we send in Patricia as they use another Hyper Potion. Thanks to a combination of Feint Attack and Vital Throws though, Garchomp is able to finish them off with a Feint Attack, getting us the win. You know, that went way better than I expected. That only took us a couple tries. Usually that gym is absolutely brutal. Nothing can learn Calm Mind though, so moving on. Fight against Archie now as he leads Mighty Anna, no surprise, as we go for Vital Throw. We don't quite take him out as he switches into Crobat, so we switch into our Gen 3 Bird, and he just hits us with Air Cutter, doing next to nothing. We're actually doing pretty decent damage with Aerial Ace as we get confused, hit ourselves in confusion, doing only a whopping 10 damage, before we eventually snap out, hit him with another Aerial Ace as he uses the mighty Super Potion to recover 50 HP, but we end up being able to take out his Crobat as Mighty Anna comes back out, dropping our attack with Intimidate. He then uses another mighty Super Potion as we eventually take him out with our Gen 3 Mon, and last out is Sharpedo. Well, let's see how this goes considering our attack is dropped. Amazingly enough though, we survive his Slash and crit a Swift, and take out his Sharpedo despite being -1 in attack. And then Archie dampens the mood by being dumb and using the wrong orb. But we can't get the last gym badge yet because we have to go awaken Rayquaza, who's already enraged because Kyogre and Groudon just won't let it sleep. We get the always cool descent from Rayquaza as it comes down, yells at Kyogre and Groudon to keep it down so that it can get some sleep, and this will finally give us access to the last and final gym badge, Juan. Now, full disclosure, I hate Juan. He is one of my least favorite gym leaders. Not my least favorite, that goes to Claire, but I think we'll have a pretty easy time with him this time. So Love Disc confuses us with Sweet Kiss because all Love Disc is good for is annoying, but we take it out pretty easily. Celio comes out, and as much as I wanted to get one last magical leaf in, we hit ourselves in confusion and go down to Aurora Beam. So we switch to Patricia, hit a couple vital throws, and take out Celio pretty easily. Next out is Whiscash as we go for Focus Energy, hoping to crit Vital Throw. We don't get the crit as he just goes for Amnesia, then hits Earthquake as we yet again fail to crit. As Earthquake finishes us off, we can simply switch to Garchomp and finish him off with a Feint Attack. Next out is Kingdra as the rain stops as we switch to our One Punch Mon. No, we didn't. No, we switched to Skarmory, I'm sorry. It's only neutral, but it's at least better than getting destroyed by a quad effective Ice Beam. He ends up going for Double Team, wasting turns, not realizing that our moves can't miss. Then he uses Rest and recovers with his Chesto Berry. I still hate that a gym leader uses this strat, it's absolutely absurd. One Punch Mon goes down to a Water Pulse, as we can just send in Raikou. He uses a Hyper Potion as we Shockwave. Shockwave again, living his Water Pulse. He then goes for Rest. Then we can just use some Shockwaves, but we end up eventually critting the third Shockwave and taking him out. Last out is Crawdaunt, who survives, takes out Raikou with a Crab Hammer, but we can simply send in Garchomp, outspeed and finish him off with a Feint Attack, getting us the win and our 8th badge. Alright, one last thing before the Elite Four is we have to fight Wally. Now, Wally was a much more obnoxious fight than I'm used to. So he goes for Dragon Breath, doesn't paralyze us, goes for Safeguard, we Aerial Ace, he Dragon Breaths, paralyzes us, we recover with a Cherry Berry, he Full Restores, we Aerial Ace, he Dragon Dances, we Aerial Ace again, crit, then he swaps to Magneton, and we're stuck because he has Magnet Pull. We set up a layer of spikes, and then get one-shot by Thunderbolt. We can simply switch to Patricia. He misses Screech as we one-shot him with a Vital Throw. Next out is Altaria, and I wanted to see how much damage we would actually do, and we're able to take him out thanks to his weakened health. Gardevoir comes out as we switch to One Punch Mon. He goes for Future Sight as we Shadow Punch. He double teams. He hits us with Psychic for very little damage, and then we take him out. But Delcatty comes out, so we have to switch after taking Future Sight damage as we switch to Patricia. We can simply one-shot him with Vital Throw. Last out is Roselia. Now, I could just switch here, but I really wanted to see if Patricia could get the win. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen as we get hit with Toxic. Now, his Giga Drain is recovering him plenty of health to stay healthy, as it's not quite enough as he just outspeeds us and takes us out with Giga Drain. We switch to Garchomp, hit Feint Attack, he Magical Leafs, uses a Full Restore, we Feint Attack a couple more times, crit, he Toxics, then he Giga Drains, but we go down to Toxic as we just send in our One Punch Mon to take him out with one punch, getting us the win. Alright, with Wally out of the way, this is what we have to work with. We have all of our moves, the team at level 49. Now, we don't have a ton of bulk on this team outside of Patricia and Tropius, but maybe we'll do better than I expect. I don't know what you guys are expecting down in the comment section, but leave a comment down below for the algorithm and let me know how you think this is going to go. Can we win at level 49? Let's see. So first up is Dark Trainer Sidney. And this one is one I expected to be easy. So not only does he Sand Attack once, he Sand Attacks a second time, allowing us to get off another bulk up. And now we're basically indestructible. We are confused from Swagger and +3 or 4 in attack now, but we get through the confusion once Absol comes out, and we can just spam Vital Throw, as we don't even take any damage. He didn't even attack us a single time, even going for Cotton Spore on Cacturn, which wouldn't have mattered, getting us an easy first try victory. Okay. Now that Sidney's out of the way, we can move on to Ghost Trainer Pheobe. So we're going to be leading this off with our Garchomp, just to spam Feint Attack. What's nice is that we can actually work through the first Dusclops very quickly. However, the second one we're going to be switching. I don't want to be letting Garchomp take an Ice Beam. We all know how that's going to go over. We end up setting up some spikes, and eventually just decide to let our Gen 3 Mon go down. Now, I know we're letting it go down, but setting up spikes is going to help the rest of her team. It's one of those moves that can't miss, and it adds variety to our unavoidable moves, so I thought it'd be a cool move to include. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't affect flying Pokemon, but Pheobe doesn't have any, we're fine. We work through the Dusclops as the Bannet comes out and takes us out with a Shadow Ball. We send in Raikou and set up the Rain, and then she starts going for Grudge, which, I gotta be honest, had me a little bit worried. I didn't want to take a Thunder and lose all of our power points. If you KO something with Grudge the turn it uses it, you lose all your power points, and we can't have that. Ends up working out great as she doesn't use it. Sableye is a one-shot with Thunder, and Bannet is a two-shot with Shockwave as the Rain disappears. I'm really glad that she didn't use Grudge after the turn that we would have KO'd her, because it worked out great. Glacia, though, was a challenge. This took many attempts and probably well over 30 minutes of actual trying to get the win. We lead it off with Patricia, set up some bulk ups, and then start working through her team with Vital Throw. Unfortunately, Patricia does go down just because Vital Throw has the delayed priority. Now, I know it's 70 power and all the other moves are 60, but I'm not really sure why Vital Throw ever needed the decreased priority. Because there were stronger moves made in later generations that didn't have that. So Patricia goes down and we send in our Gen 3 Bird, trying to work through her Wall Rain. Now it is incredibly thick and tanky, so this took a lot of sacrifices. Even Garchomp got blasted with an Ice Beam, but after we chip away, we can send in Raikou and take her out with Shockwave and get the win. I honestly did not expect that fight to be as tough as it was. And if you thought Glacia was rough, Drake was even worse. We're a whole 8 levels higher. Yes, it took till level 59 to get the win. So we lead it off with Bananas, which seems a little odd, but Shelgon can't really do that much damage to us, so we set up a bunch of Groats and we take him out. Flygon comes out, hits a big flamethrower, then we knock him into full restore range, so we decide to heal up with Synthesis. Thanks to that, we end up surviving not one, but 2 flamethrowers to take out his Flygon with a magical leaf. Unfortunately, Altaria comes out and just finishes us off with an easy double edge, but Bananas did good work. It's fine. We send in our One Punch Mon next as we get paralyzed from Dragon Breath, then get paralyzed 3 consecutive turns before finally hitting a Shadow Punch, and then surviving an Aerial Ace only to get paralyzed again and then go down. Yeah, Altaria really messed us up in this battle. We switch to our Gen 3 Mon as we take it out with Aerial Ace. Finally, that thing's out of the way. That thing was terrorizing us with those paralysis hacks there. We send in Garchomp, hit a Feint Attack, survive Dragon Claw with a small amount of health left, and then we go down after another Feint Attack. Hey, we did chip damage, we'll be fine. Now we can send in Raikou, charge for a double boosted Shockwave, live his attack, and take him out. Next out is Kingdra as we hit Shockwave, he Dragon Dances, we hit Shockwave again as he just smokescreens for no reason, but we survive Surf, take him out with Shockwave, getting us the win. And that fight took me over an hour, by the way. But it's finally time for Pokemon Champion Wallace. Amazingly, he does our dirty work for us, setting up Rain. That actually worked out great. I thought he'd just Water Spout, but I'll take it. Gyarados comes out as we just blast it with a Unavoidable Thunder. It's nice to be able to include thunder in a challenge like this. With the rain it can't miss, it's just nice to have an actual strong move. So Whiscash comes out as we switch to bananas, as we start setting up magical leaves. Unfortunately, he amnesias, so we're not going to be able to do enough for it to be a 2-shot, so we can just go for growth as his surf does nothing, and then take him out with the magical leaf. Nice. Next out is Milotic, and Bananas is probably about to get wrecked by an ice beam, so we're going to switch to One Punch Man. He hits Toxic as we start going for Shadow Punch. We get a Quick Claw Shadow Punch to get an extra attack in as he goes for Recover. He hits Surf, but then finishes us off with Ice Beam as we don't get the Quick Claw. With that out of the way though, we can simply switch to our Gen 3 Mon. He then recovers as we Aerial Ace. He hits Surf, recovers with a Citrus Berry, and then we switch to Patricia. Now, I thought about just letting Skarmory go down, but Skarmory is going to be a great Pokemon to use against his Ludicolo later, so I thought I'd save it. Unfortunately, we end up getting poisoned off of Toxic. Vital Throw doesn't KO, he heals, we Vital Throw again, he uses another Full Restore, and Vital Throw doesn't get a higher roll to KO, and then we get outsped and taken out with Surf. Well, that was depressing. We simply switch to Raikou though and take him out with Shockwave. Next is Tentacruel as we can just go for Shockwave, which is going to be an easy 2-shot as we survive the Hydro Pump pretty easily. Last out is Ludicolo as we go for Shockwave, which crits. He double teams. We charge to survive his Surf and then take him out, getting us the win. Honestly, Raikou carried that fight. I'm not surprised. With that fight out of the way, we get ourselves into the Hall of Fame at 19 hours and 37 minutes of playtime. I just want to let you know that the actual time for actual attempts was probably around 25 hours. I don't want to do a challenge like this again. This took ages, at least what seemed like ages. But we're not done yet because we have the post-game fight with Steven Stone, and I'm going to tell you that was even worse than any Elite Four fight we could have done. So we grinded all the way up to level 80 and led with Raikou because we already know Skarmory is going to be his lead. It works out even better when Aggron goes for Solar Beam instead of Earthquake, so we take it out. Next out is Metagross as we go for Charge, survive as Earthquake, and then our Charge boosted Shockwave crits for the 1-shot. Man, Raikou has been the MVP of this entire challenge so far. I thought about switching, but then I thought, no, we're just going to let Raikou go down. Now we can get a safe switch into our One Punch Man and begin firing away Shadow Punches. Now, he does set up Reflect, which is a bummer, but he's not really doing that much damage since Dusclops is pretty tanky. It works out even better when we survive his Earthquake and crit Shadow Punch to finish him off through the Reflect. It's even better now because Reflect just faded. He goes with Ingrain on his Cradily, and then starts spamming Ancient Powers trying to get a boost, and thanks to Pressure making it cost 2 power points, he now only has 1 left, so we can just switch to Patricia. We start setting up our bulk ups as we get confused, try to go for bulk up and hit ourselves, then he Giga Drains doing next to nothing. We get our leftovers recovery, he does nothing with Giga Drain again, we hit ourselves for a second time, he gets Ingrain recovery, then we snap out and one-shot him with Vital Throw. Last out is our Maldo. We go for Vital Throw, he goes for Aerial Ace taking us to 63 health, we Vital Throw, but survive the Aerial Ace on 8 HP, knocking out our Maldo and getting ourselves the win. Honestly, I didn't think we'd survive that Aerial Ace, but 19 and a half hours. Yeah, it was like 18 for the Elite Four, and this was brutal. Just as difficult as I expected. For our next video, we are going to be getting into Pokemon Red version with just Butterfree. I thought comparing it to Beedrill would be a good idea, and I don't really know how it's going to go, because Gen 1 is very different from all other generations. But it's going to be fun. As always, leave suggestions down below in the comment section, and of course, if you've enjoyed the video, like the video and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for future videos. I just want to say thank you everybody for watching. Have a great day.